Welcome into a special for Rock Solid Sports on 90.3 WTK The Rock. I'm Griffin Hadley, joined by our incoming sports director, Alex Carpenter. And boy, do we have a special guest, WTK alum, the new voice of the Vols, Mr. Mike Keith. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I just won the Memphis Open with that.
Congratulations.
I made the putt. Thank you very much.
Well, let's just jump right into it. I just want to talk to you about the last several weeks, the last several months. You started a couple episodes of the Mike Keith Show. Obviously, the Big Orange Caravan. What's it been like being around Vol Nation, and how has that experience kind of started out here with you back on Rocky Top?
Griffin, it's been better than I thought. It's been really exciting to get out and to meet people and to have people just be so excited about Tennessee and so excited about VFL Films and the Vol Network and just talking to so many people about the football team or the basketball team or the Lady Vols or what the broadcasts are going to sound like or, you know, things going on campus. I mean, it's just been so many different things that people want to talk about because when you're involved with the University of Tennessee, you're involved in so many different things. There's so many things that mean things to so many different people. It's much bigger in that way than the NFL, because when you're talking about the Titans, you're talking about the draft, or you're talking about the coaching staff, or the current roster, or the schedule maybe. But with Tennessee, you're talking about all that for a variety of sports, and then so much more. The gear you're wearing, the places that you're traveling, the different things that we're doing show-wise. I mean, all of it. It's a bit of a blur. It's been 4 months.
Wow.
But I've really had a great time so far.
I mean, you were a sports director here for 5 semesters here
Quarters.
at Rocks. Quarters.
That's
Difference.
how long it was. It was quarters. I was involved in the quarter semester switch.
Oh.
In the middle of my college tenure, yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But so you've seen a lot of change here down at the station. I'm just curious, tell me about your time at Rock Solid Sports and just how you grew here professionally.
I came in with the chance to be the sports director, which gave me a press pass to every event. We had a seat on press row at Stokely Athletic Center for every basketball game. We had a press box seat at Neyland Stadium, and I was able to take advantage of that to really learn how the mechanics of everything worked, what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to go, how you're supposed to act. I was really thankful for that. And then I came back, I'll never forget, we played UTEP. Because we were on quarters, you didn't go back to school until late September. So the first game I covered as sports director was in October. We played UTEP, and it was not a big game. Tennessee did not play particularly well. And I came back, and my first report on the air was probably 4 minutes. And I'm just reading this, basically essay on – and then the Vols punted, and then they ran for 2 yards, and then they ran for 4 yards. Somebody called in, not amused. And I learned very quickly you don't do a 4-minute report. And so then you figure out that brevity is important, that you've got to hit the high points. All the things that you learn in class go to real life in a big hurry because you'll have an audience respond and say, not good. And that's what I learned here, is I learned all the ins and outs of how you get started. So when I walked into WIVK as a sophomore, 19 years old, I knew what was going on. I didn't know everything. I didn't have all the experience, but it had knocked the edges off the inexperience. And because I'd gotten the reps here to get started, going on the air virtually every day, I was a little more confident, a little more polished, a little bit ahead of the game. And so it advanced me ahead of the other young people who were there, who were learning the lessons that I had already learned down here in P103.
How cool. I mean, I love that you're able to kind of let us know, because that's the goal down here with Rock Solid, trying to learn about those steps so that when you jump into that professional world, okay, I've already learned those steps before. Can you talk a little bit more about WIVK, your start here in Knoxville, as far as just collegiate athletics goes, kind of maybe even what the difference you've seen then versus now joining back into this college athletic sphere?
Boy, that's a lot. I went to work at WIVK because I was hired by the Vols network to be the scoreboard co-host with Randy Smith in 1987. They paid me $25 a game. But the most important thing it got me access into WIVK. And so I would hang around, and eventually they paid me $3.65 an hour, which was minimum wage at the time, to do, little updates here and there. And they had something called the Knoxville News Sentinel Sports Line. So this is before computers. This is before the internet. This is before the World Wide Web was known by anybody. If you wanted scores, you got them off of the AP wire, which you would rip and read. So for people who wanted their scores, we would update something on the Knoxville News Sentinel phone line. And so you would call a number, 637, I can't remember what it was. 2121 was the time. That was the time and weather was 637-2121. It was 637 something. So you would call and you would get a quick report on the sports. So you would get the scores. And I got to update that overnight. So I would sit and do my homework. And then when I got done, I would watch David Letterman, and I would stay until like 3 in the morning because that's when the West Coast games end. And you realize that a lot of the people who were calling were betting. So they wanted the hockey scores from the West Coast or the Lakers scores or the Clippers scores or whatever. So I would stay and do that. So I got to practice doing a sportscast every day. One morning, the guy who did morning sports got sick. The overnight news anchor who would come in at 4 o'clock came in, and I waited on him because the guy who did sports had called and said, hey, I'm not coming in. And so I waited for Channing Smith to get in, and I told him, I said, he's not going to make it in. And he said, well, why don't you do sports? So I got a chance to go on the Claude the Cat Tomlinson morning show, which was the #1 morning show in America. And I didn't stink it up. And so because of that, they said, okay, now you're the permanent fill-in. So every time the regular guy couldn't be there, I got to be the permanent fill-in. And, nothing about this business has changed in terms of how you start. Everybody does the same thing. I just happened to be there. And that's the whole key to all of it with anything broadcasting wise is you've got to be around and you've got to be in the game. The great thing about WUTK is you're on the campus of the University of Tennessee where something's always happening. And so you get a chance to meet people, to see things, to do things. Those opportunities to be in the game are here for you the same way they were all those years ago. Nothing about that changes.
It's like what the College of Communication Information teaches, that it's more than just the degree. You have to go out there and get those opportunities to learn and grow. You obviously love the University of Tennessee. You took the opportunity to come back here and serve as the voice of the Vols. What went into that decision for you? And just express your love for this place, because you're one of the ones who are most vocal about, what things should be done on Rocky Top.
I think my rationale was they called me and they said, we want you to come back. So we're not doing a search. We're not doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. We want you to take the job. Well, first of all, that's an incredible compliment. And that's how I took it. I'm like, wow. I mean, they blew me away with that. And then Alicia Longworth, who was in charge of the process, laid out what they were interested in. I talked to them about what I was interested in doing and where I was interested in going with this next phase of my career. And it all just really matched up. And it matched up with my life, too. My kids are not at home anymore. They're older. And we were at a position where my wife and I thought moving back to Knoxville would be fun. The other part of it, too, is, the things that are in your life when you're middle age, health and where your retirement is and who's doing what. It all matched up. If this had happened 5 years ago, I couldn't have done it. I wouldn't have been able to do it. If it had happened 5 years from now, I wouldn't be able to do it. So the timing was just absolutely perfect. I love what's going on here as a university. I'm very excited about what's going on as an athletic department as well. But I just wanted to be part of the team. I wanted to come back, and I just felt like maybe I could have something to contribute at this point in my career. What had gone on with the Titans for 27 years, I felt like I was at a point where I could close the door. It was probably a moment that made sense to close the door, and so I did, and here we are.
Will you miss the Titans?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, I when the draft happened 2 weeks ago, I mean, it was hard. It was hard when they went to the Combine and they went to the Senior Bowl, and it'll be hard when the schedule comes out, and all of the things that I'm used to in terms of my rhythm as not just a professional, but as a person. I gave them everything I had, everything. And I was invested, and you don't walk away from something that you fully gave your heart and your soul and your mind to and not feel it. So I feel it. At the same time, I'm excited about being here and what's to come, and knowing that as we record this, we're 115 days away from playing Syracuse in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, and all that we have to do, and to have a chance to be on this campus and to see what's going on with the new challenge, I'm very excited about. But, the statement is two things can be true at once. And in my case, that's very much how I'm very excited about this opportunity, but I'm also sad to leave friends and to leave people that I enjoyed working with and an opportunity that I was lucky to get at 30 years of age.
Well, it's so cool. And I know that everybody in this state has appreciated what you did in Nashville, and now pumped. I know everybody here is pumped that you're here.
Thank you.
Athletic Director Danny White has spread the term everything school. You have mentioned, your time with athletics the last several weeks, couple of months. I'm wondering what that phrase means to you and how you view Tennessee as an everything school.
The reason I wanted to come back is I viewed the University of Tennessee as a place where they want to be good at everything. In knowing who Randy Boyd is, I understand his history and what he's done in his life. In getting to know Dondi Plowman, I understand exactly who she is. She speaks a language that I understand. In seeing what Danny White does and how he operates, I get it. I felt from the outside, this is a place that wants to be good at everything, and it's an athletic department that wants to win in everything. That's my philosophy. I don't think you cede any ground to anybody on anything when you're a place like this. There's no reason that if you're going to do it, you can't be good at it. And when I got here in the 4 months that I've spent, I found it to be 100% true. And that's incredibly exciting, because when you listen to people talk about limits, and you say, well, we can't do so-and-so because we're concentrating in this area, or, we're just going to focus on this thing. And you're listening, and you're like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to have one thing come at the expense of another in terms of its success. You've got to take the puzzle, do the calculus, and figure out how do we use every bit of it to go forward. It's just like when we would do an interview with Derrick Henry. So Derrick Henry, one of the biggest names in the NFL, biggest names in sports. And we would get one interview with him a year, because that's all you get. You get 20 minutes. I mean, now he does media time, but to come sit down in a chair with us, we would get 20 minutes. How are we going to take that Derrick Henry pie and use it everywhere? How are we going to use it for video purposes on our TV show? How are we going to use it for our YouTube channel? How are we going to use it for our podcast? How are we going to use it for Titans Radio? How are we going to use it for social? How are we going to take that 20 minutes and be able to use every ounce of it to take advantage of his star power? And, oh, by the way, it better be a good interview. You better ask him good questions. The pressure of all of that was something that our group thrived upon. And that's how I feel about the things we're going to do here, is we're going to work to do the sorts of things where when we get 20 minutes with Josh Heupel, or 20 minutes with Rick Barnes, or 20 minutes with Kim Caldwell, or with Karen Weekly, or Tony Vitello, or with one of our athletes, or with a big visitor to campus, how are we going to get that out there where Vol fans from 9 to 90 can enjoy it? Because people are interested in everything Tennessee. I mean, it is so big. I mean, and it is so – schools like this are so much bigger than any individual professional team because the following is so much more personal. Every day it's personal. And so the fan base wants as much content as you can possibly give them. How do you get that to them in places and ways that they can enjoy, which enhances their passion for Tennessee? That's our challenge.
There's truly no fan base like Vol Nation.
There's nothing like Tennessee.
There's not.
And people would say that to me as I traveled all over the country. They would say, "Where did you go to school?" I said, "I went to Tennessee." They go, "Oh, you're all crazy." And it's like, yeah. I mean, I grew up with it, and my dad was like that. I would talk to my dad, and he would ask me a question about the Titans or whatever, and then he'd be like, "Okay, what are you hearing about this recruit? And what are you hearing about this? And what are you hearing about this? And what are you seeing about this?" So I've grown up with that. I mean, Titans fans are passionate. There are lots of NFL fans that are incredibly passionate, but the fan bases of colleges are different. The fan base of Tennessee fans, totally different.
Yes.
I mean, there is nothing like Tennessee. Nothing like Tennessee anywhere in the world. And, you hear the old story, Spanish-American War. They ask for 2,800 volunteers. They get 30,000 volunteers. It's the same thing today. That mindset, where our nickname came from, where it all came from nearly 200 years ago, I mean, it's still who we are. Why we're like this, I have no reason. I've heard all the theories, but I 100% get it. And we're going to try to feed that as much as possible. Understanding that our lane is different than say, like a talk show where they're going to be critical or break things down. We can't do that. We're the university. On the other side, people are going to report in different ways about things, positive and negative. We can't do that. We're the university. But can we provide entertaining and informative content that gives people something else to sort of fill a different lane? Yeah, we can do that, and that's what our goal is going to be.
So saying what you just said about this fan base, this might be a crazy question to ask, but because of all the experience you have, but are you a little nervous to come back to I know you had the spring game, but you're here in the fall, you'll be calling games at your alma mater, and it might be a pinch me moment for you, but I mean, are you ready for this challenge? I know you are.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Now that you've said that, maybe not. I'm nervous. Sure. I mean, because I respect what it is. I respect the fan base. I respect the people who've come before me. I respect what the responsibility is, 100%, because I grew up with it. And, I was with John Ward for 11 years. I've stood in the booth behind him. I've walked into stadiums with him. I get it. I mean, I get what the fan base wants, and living up to that standard is going to be a challenge. But, as I weighed it, I said, I want to do it. I mean, that's what it came down to. In the end, it wasn't money, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, all the things you would think of. It's like, I want to have the opportunity to be able to do that on a weekly basis or twice a week in basketball or whatever for this fan base, because I love this school. I love the color orange. I love the fan base. I'm one of them. And I just want to be part of the team. I feel like I said earlier, I feel like I can make a contribution. So that's what I'm going to try to do. But yeah, I'm apprehensive. Sure. Awesome. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
Well, we appreciate your time so much. Just want to ask, what are you most looking forward to when it comes to walking in that press box, getting ready for Neyland? Obviously, you won't be in Neyland for the first game because Syracuse is a neutral site. But what are you just most looking forward to when things get going in the fall?
I think the overall prep of a game week. I think that's going to be the part of it that is going to be the most exciting thing for me, is to see how we do that, because our prep was very set for what we did with the Titans. And you understood you're going to get the press release on this day, you're going to build your boards on this day, you're going to do the pregame interviews on this day, you're going to have your production meetings on this day. I don't know what that looks like yet. And I don't know what that flow is going to feel like. I enjoy the overall process of broadcasting. I enjoy a lot of the elements I enjoy the writing. I enjoy the editing. I enjoy doing the interviews, those sorts of things. I enjoy the prep about putting the boards together and the spot charts and all of the things that we do. And so I don't quite know what that's going to look like. It'll probably take me a while to figure out, do I need this? Do I not need this? And I'm looking forward to that week to see what that's all about. And then, to seeing what it's like when they come on the field in Atlanta to play Syracuse, and we're on the Vol radio network. To those of you listening throughout the world and saying the 5 magical words that all Vol fans want to hear, it's.
Can you say them right now?
I know I'm ready for him. He can't. It's not.
I can't do
it's
it.
Not.
Yeah.
You
gotta wait. You gotta wait for it. But I'd be a fool not to ask for me. Are you going to keep some of those iconic calls from the Titans back?
Well, I won't say touchdown
ones?
Titans.
Well, true.
No, I won't say that.
But will you keep the snap, set, kick, maybe the sack?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the way you call a game is going to change. I mean, those are things, and part of what you get into with that is that's for you, because then you remember what you do every time in these situations. But it's also for the listener, because if you're driving along and you're listening, if I'm saying things that are familiar from my cadence, then you understand what's going on. If you have a screaming child in the back or, whatever's happening in your life, you can still follow these things to know it's a first down, it's a field goal or an extra point opportunity, it's a quarterback sack, it's all of these sorts of things. So I don't think that changes. Everybody's asked about the touchdown call, and I mean the touchdown call is obviously got to be different because it's a different team. I have the word Tennessee available to me now, which I didn't with the Titans. I never said touchdown Tennessee because out of respect to John Ward, I was never going to say that. I was always going to say touchdown Titans for that reason. I'm allowed to use Tennessee now, I'm told. So that'll be a good thing. But yeah, I mean, I think the broadcast style will feel very familiar.
Well, that's awesome. We're looking forward to it.
Yes,
I know
we
all
are.
of us down here are looking forward to it.
Thank you.
We look forward to you being here on campus. Hopefully you can come back down and join us maybe
Love
live
to.
on a show in
I'd
the
love
fall
to.
with Alex and the guys. But, Mike, we thank you so much, and thanks for your time here with us on Rock Solid Sports.
Griffin, Alex, thanks for having me, and thanks to everyone for being here. It's good to be back 39 years later, and it hasn't changed much.